In a city that is basically obsessed with piercing the clouds, right, and building these mega islands you can literally see from the upper atmosphere.
Well, yeah, from space.
Exactly. In that kind of environment, the most potent symbol of wealth has suddenly become absolute invisibility.
Which is fascinating.
Right, because when you, as a listener, imagine the absolute peak of the ultra-high net worth real estate market, especially in Dubai, your mind instantly goes to, like, the blockbuster movie equivalent of property.
Yeah, the towering glass penthouses.
Exactly, the hyper-visible locations, the explicit goal of just being seen by everyone. But today, we're doing a deep dive into a stack of freshly released architectural renderings and pricing breakdowns for a project called Mews Mansions. And it flips that entire script. It's more like an indie film playing at an invite-only festival.
It really is. We're looking at a highly coveted collection of just 10 sprawling homes. Just 10. And they're in the Meydan district of Dubai.
Which is wild.
Right. The design philosophy here actively rejects that traditional visibility and, the flash of ultra-luxury. Instead of maximizing the yield of this prime piece of land by building a towering high-rise, they went horizontal.
Yeah, they kept it flat.
Exactly. It creates this incredibly limited, tightly controlled environment aimed at a very, very specific demographic.
And just to be clear with you listening, we're not brokers, right? The goal of this deep dive isn't to sell you real estate.
No, definitely not.
What we're doing is treating Mews Mansions as like this fascinating case study in behavioral economics and architectural psychology. We want to understand this massive shift in how the world's wealthiest families are choosing to live.
Yeah, moving from the sheer existence of the property to the philosophy behind it. Because choosing to build only 10 homes on a plot of land this big really requires an explanation.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because if you have prime real estate in Dubai, the conventional developer playbook for like 20 years has been yield maximization, right?
Absolutely. You build vertically, you stack the penthouses, and you sell the airspace.
So isn't it completely counterintuitive to build horizontally for just 10 families?
Well, choosing to build 10 horizontal footprint mansions is a highly calculated departure from that model. The sources we have highlight this unique conceptual foundation. It's this blend of European-inspired heritage meeting Dubai's rich equestrian legacy.
Right, because it's in Meydan.
Exactly. Meydan isn't just a neighborhood. It's globally synonymous with world-class horse racing. These 10 mansions are right in the middle of the Meydan golf course, the race course, and the Meydan Hotel.
Wow.
Yeah, this specific area was envisioned by Dubai's leadership as the absolute pinnacle of sport and lifestyle.
And that equestrian connection is, it's really revealing about who they're targeting. Because equestrian culture, historically, it isn't about, flashy overnight wealth.
No, not at all.
It's tied to land and lineage and legacy. When you look at the renderings for Mews Mansions, you see that European-inspired elegance. It's modern, sure, but it feels like an established estate, not a new build resort.
Which perfectly explains this shift from vertical to horizontal living.
Right.
What we are seeing is an evolution in the mindset of the ultra-high net worth individual, the UHNWI.
Right.
True luxury at this peak level has transitioned from conspicuous consumption to inconspicuous consumption. It's all about control over your immediate environment.
So it's not about the bling anymore.
Exactly. Anyone with enough capital can buy a penthouse in the sky. But acquiring a massive, private, horizontal footprint.
Like actual dirt.
Yes, actual dirt in the center of a global metropolis. That's a profoundly different proposition. It's a sovereign footprint.
And the scarcity built into that is, frankly, severe. 10 mansions, that is an artificially capped micro-community.
Highly capped.
And looking at the pricing sheets we have right here, several of them are already gone. Specifically, Mansion the Third, Mansion NIX, and Mansion X are already stamped with a sold marker.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And that data point alone just shows the intense demand for this specific kind of rarity. You can always pour more concrete for a skyscraper, but you can't manufacture more prime acreage in a central district.
No, you can't. The scarcity is the primary feature. But what's fascinating here is that it brings up an inherent tension in luxury real estate. It's something we could call the location paradox.
It's a location paradox. I like that.
Right, because historically, an ultra-wealthy buyer has had to make this painful geographical compromise. If you want acreage, a sprawling estate and total privacy, you typically have to move an hour outside the city.
Right, into the deep suburbs.
Exactly. which means you accept a frustrating commute to your board meetings, your social events, the airport, all of it.
And the alternative is you buy the cramped for them, penthouse in the city center. You give up the land for urban efficiency.
Yeah, you get the location, but you share an elevator with 50 people. Your connection to nature is like a balcony over a highway.
So how does Mews Mansions solve that?
It fundamentally resolves the paradox.
Yeah.
It offers the scale and the privacy of the distant suburbs, but with the logistical efficiency of the urban core. For a UHNWI family, time is the ultimate currency.
Yeah, you can't buy time.
Right. And the logistical data for this location is hyper-focused on preserving that time.
Okay, let me just read off these proximity metrics from the fact sheet because they perfectly illustrate this. From the private gates of Mews Mansions, you are literally a 10-minute drive to downtown Dubai, the Burj Khalifa, and the Dubai Mall.
That's incredibly close.
It is. You're 12 minutes to DIFC and Business Bay, 14 minutes to the Museum of the Future. But crucially, for people who basically view global mobility as a basic utility, you are exactly 15 minutes to the tarmac at DXB Airport.
And that 15-minute metric alters the entire lifestyle proposition.
Right. You land your private jet and
You're home. A buyer isn't spending 35 minutes in gridlock after flying in. They go from global travel to absolute pin-drop quiet on their private estate in a quarter of an hour.
wow.
Plus, the proximity to schools is key. Rashid and Latifa School is 4 minutes away. Kent College is 9 minutes. That signals this is for primary residence, long-term family living. It's not just a holiday home.
So we know where it is and we know why it's rare. But transitioning from the urban core into the actual estate, let's talk about what happens inside these gates. Because looking at the sheer scale on these technical data sheets, it's massive.
The numbers are staggering.
They are. The plot areas are hovering around 15,500 square feet, and some scale up to over 16,200 square feet.
Huge.
And the built-up areas, the actual livable structures, cross 25,000 square feet for some of these.
Yeah, and a 25,000 square foot home ceases to function like a normal house. At that point, it operates with the mechanical complexity of a boutique hotel.
That is exactly how I was reading these floor plans. It's less like a house and more like a luxury biome, or like a private super yacht securely docked on land.
A land yacht. I like that.
Right. The architectural flow is designed so the owner, their family, their staff could comfortably live, work, host, and train for weeks without ever stepping off the property.
Yeah, the compartmentalization of that biome is meticulous. If we break down the lifestyle features and the developer's materials, the home is divided into these highly specific zones.
Let's hear them.
Well, the outdoor zones feature massive infinity pools, terraced landscaping with sunken seating, dedicated BBQ facilities, and outdoor juice bars.
Juice bars.
Yep. It creates this seamless indoor-outdoor hosting space that uses the Dubai climate but remains totally shielded from public view.
And moving inward, the wellness and leisure components look like they're engineered to commercial standards because, a billionaire doesn't outsource their wellness to a public gym.
No, they bring the experts to them. The blueprints detail a full spa with massage facilities, a state-of-the-art gym, sauna, steam room, a zen room, jacuzzis.
It's like a resort.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And architectural water features specifically designed to manipulate the acoustics of the space. It creates a calming auditory environment.
That is next level. And the social spaces are equally specialized, right? With 25,000 square feet, you have entire wings dedicated to specific things.
Oh, absolutely. There's a games room, a specialized cigar lounge, a climate-controlled wine room, and a full cinema.
Wait, there was a variance in the fact sheet about the cinema, wasn't there?
Good catch, yes. The cinema and the home office are excluded in mansions IX and X. Those two have a slightly smaller, built-up area of around 22,600 square feet.
Ah, okay.
So it shows how the developer is tailoring the internal programming based on the specific footprint of the plot.
Now, what really solidifies the boutique hotel theory for me isn't the spa or the cinema. It's the back-of-house logistics.
Yeah.
A house this big needs a hidden operational layer to just function.
Completely.
Yeah.
The staff needs to move without being seen.
Right. So these mansions include a private elevator, dedicated driver's rooms, expansive maids' quarters, specialized cold and dry stores for large-scale catering.
Which is so important for hosting.
Exactly. Plus ample private and guest parking. The friction of daily life, the deliveries, the maintenance, the staff, it's all engineered out of the owner's immediate experience.
And that invisible functionality is the core of the quiet luxury design language they're using here.
Quiet luxury, exactly.
Yeah, when you look at the visual data, the renders, there is a total absence of those flashy, reflective surfaces or the gold plating from previous Dubai eras.
No bling.
None. The aesthetic relies entirely on natural, elemental materials.
The material palette is incredibly grounding. You see extensive use of travertine facades. And travertine possesses this massive thermal weight. It acts as a geological timekeeper compared to fast-curing concrete, which looks dated in 10 years.
Yeah, it feels permanent.
Inside, you've got sweeping staircases, vast expanses of marble, rich timber accents, bronze detailing, and backlit stone. It's very earthy and precise.
And that precision extends right to the functional hardware. The sources explicitly mandate high-end branded fittings.
Like what?
The technical documents specify built-in kitchen appliances by Gaggenau or Miele, custom wardrobes by Poliform, and sanitary fixtures by Gessi, Sanipex, or their exact equivalents.
Wow, okay, so top of the line, everything.
Exactly. And in this market tier, these aren't just brand names dropped for marketing. They function as subtle signals. They guarantee a standard of quality for a buyer who already uses these exact brands in their homes in London or New York.
Which brings us to a huge point, the financial mechanics. Who actually writes the check for an asset like this, and how does that transaction even work? Because we are talking about a price tag of 75 million to 78 million dirhams.
It's a completely different landscape than buying a standard apartment or a speculative off-plan villa. The fact sheet outlines a very specific structured payment plan.
Let's lay it out. It starts with a 3 million dirham booking fee, just to book it.
Just to secure the unit, yeah.
Then, a 20% payment is required upon signing the SPA, the sales and purchase agreement. Another 10% is due 30 days later. But then, the structure fundamentally shifts. The remaining 70% is due entirely upon completion and handover.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, that 70% back-end heavy structure is highly anomalous in Dubai's standard off-plan market.
Really? How does it usually work?
Traditionally, developers rely on buyer installments staggered throughout the bill to literally fund the construction brick by brick. By pushing 70% to the very end, the developer is assuming almost all the construction risk.
Which signals huge confidence.
Massive confidence. It's extreme institutional level capitalization. They're basically saying, we have the funds to build this masterpiece, you just deploy your major capital when it's ready to move into.
And I imagine that payment structure also acts as a pretty harsh filter, right? It locks out the short-term speculators completely.
Oh, 100%. A speculator relies on paying maybe 30% during construction and then flipping the contract before the big final payment.
Right. They never want to pay the 70%.
Never. So by requiring 30% upfront and 70% at the absolute end, you are designing a product exclusively for highly liquid UHNWI families, long-term owners.
True collectors of rare real estate.
Exactly. This is an asset class designed for wealth preservation. Now, when evaluating a 78 million dirham mansion as an investment, we have to proceed very carefully here.
Yeah, to be clear, we are absolutely not offering financial advice or predicting markets.
No, absolutely not. In this top tier, the concept of a guaranteed return or risk-free growth, it just doesn't exist. Global markets move, liquidity is different at this price point.
So what's the appeal then?
What we can analyze are the economic fundamentals. The appeal is rooted in the mechanisms we've discussed. Extreme cap scarcity. Only 10 will ever exist here. A prime geographic position that bridges the city and the suburbs.
The location paradox solved.
Right. Plus the massive scale and ultra-limited format. You're purchasing physical land in a central metropolis. For these buyers, physical land acts as a specific hedge against inflation that equities just can't match.
It's irreplaceable.
Exactly.
So if we synthesize everything we've unpacked today, the shift to horizontal architecture, the equestrian heritage, the 25,000 square foot biome concept, the 70% back-end payment plan, it becomes pretty clear that Mews Mansions isn't attempting to win the typical Dubai real estate game.
No, it is refusing to play that game entirely. It does not compete by engineering the tallest tower.
Nope.
It doesn't compete by designing the most flashy, aggressively lit exterior meant to dominate the skyline.
It competes entirely through the mechanics of absolute privacy, through the acquisition of physical acreage in a hyper-connected city. It competes on the sheer scale of the internal environment and unadulterated rarity.
Yeah.
For the right buyer, it's far more than just a massive home. It's a perfectly engineered, private, sovereign state tucked away inside the whirlwind of Dubai.
The ultimate execution of stealth wealth. You occupy the absolute center of a global hub, yet you remain completely insulated from it.
Which leaves a really fascinating kind of lingering question for you to ponder as we wrap up this deep dive. We started by contrasting those blockbuster skyscrapers with these private hidden estates. As global cities continue to densify and as our digital and public lives become so accessible and tracked, will the ultimate untouchable luxury of the future simply be the financial capacity to completely disappear into your own private acreage, right in the middle of a metropolis?
Just vanish in plain sight.
Exactly. The luxury of total invisibility. Something to think about. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the sources. We love unpacking the mechanics of this one with you.
Thanks for listening.
Until next time.